Venezuela has condemned President Trump's warning that its airspace should be considered closed as a colonialist threat. The Foreign Ministry in Caracas described his social media post as an extravagant, illegal and unjustified aggression against the Venezuelan people. Earlier, Mr. Trump posted on social media, "To all airlines, pilots, drug dealers and human traffickers, please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety." Well, let's just show you some live pictures of the Venezuelan airspace that's been essentially emptied by Trump's post. The US does not have the authority to close another country's airspace, but Mr. Trump's post could lead to travel uncertainty and deter airlines from operating there. Well, Washington says it wants to combat drug trafficking, but the Venezuelan government says the aim is to depose President Nicolas Maduro, whose re-election last year was widely denounced as rigged. Our North America correspondent Sean Dilley sent this update from Washington.
Tensions between the United States and Venezuela have been high for a long time now. Now, at the centre of that is down to who Venezuela might choose to call their allies that the United States might take issue with. But for President Trump, he's never made any secret of the fact that he's not a fan of President Maduro. During Donald Trump's first term in the White House behind me, he openly supported the removal of President Maduro as president of Venezuela. Since coming back in January for his second term, he's not used language that's quite as explicit as that when it comes to removing him, but he has gradually ratcheted pressure up, accusing the president of Venezuela of not doing enough to control drug dealing and also the transit of drugs to the United States. In the summer, there was a significant military deployment of a submarine and naval troops. Earlier this month, that ratcheted up even further with the deployment of the largest warship in the world, the USS Gerald Ford, in a modern show of gunboat diplomacy. Well, earlier, the president had posted to his Truth Social platform a message to airlines, pilots, drug dealers and human traffickers, telling them that they should please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela as closed completely. Caracas, they've responded angrily to America, describing them as having colonial pretensions in Latin America. And of Mr. Trump's statement, they have said that it is illegal, extravagant and unjustified.
Sean Dilley there. Well, Jennifer Parker is Adjunct Fellow in Naval Studies at the University of New South Wales in Canberra and International Fellow at the London-based Council on Geostrategy. Here's her analysis.
Jerika, for weeks, President Trump has huddled with top aides to pore over options for military operations in Venezuela. It's unclear if it's related, but this morning, the president issued a new warning impacting the skies above it.
Amid the increase in operations at a naval base in Puerto Rico, President Trump posted, "Please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety." While the U.S. can't unilaterally close another country's airspace, the Federal Aviation Administration has been warning airlines for weeks to avoid the area due to increased military activity. On Thursday, Trump said the attacks on Venezuela would not be limited to boats.
We'll be starting to stop them by land also. The land is easier, but that's going to start very soon.
This week, the administration designated Venezuela leader Nicolas Maduro the head of a terrorist organization. Trump said he is open to talking with Maduro.
If we can save lives, if we can do things the easy way, that's fine. And if we have to do it the hard way, that's fine, too.
All this as Trump says he will pardon former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, who is currently serving a 45-year federal prison sentence. He was convicted of helping drug trafficking cartels.
The Honduran presidential election is set for tomorrow, and President Trump has endorsed the candidate in the National Party. That's the same party that Juan Orlando Hernandez represented.
It was President Trump who announced the death of Specialist Beckstrom, one of the Guard's members he had put on crime patrol in Washington. Hours later, he announced a further crackdown on immigration. CBS News has learned it includes a pause on all asylum decisions. Weijia Jiang is in West Palm Beach, Florida.
President Trump announced he would permanently pause migration from, quote, third world countries. He is also threatening to revoke U.S. citizenship from foreign-born Americans who undermine domestic tranquility and calling for a review of all green card holders from 19 countries of concern, including Iran, Venezuela, and Afghanistan.
When you let the people come in by the thousands and thousands and thousands, they made a terrible mistake.
As the Afghan war came to a chaotic end in 2021, a program called Operation Allies Welcome allowed more than 76,000 Afghan nationals into the United States. Many of them, including the shooting suspect, had worked with the U.S. CBS News' Nancy Cordes asked President Trump about that.
He was vetted, and the vetting came up clean.
He went cuckoo. I mean, he went nuts. And that happens, too. It happens too often with these people. You see them. But look, this is how they come in. This is how they're standing on top of each other.
The Department of Homeland Security says it will be reviewing all asylum cases approved under the Biden administration. Sean Van Diver is an advocate for Afghan migrants.
My number one concern is that all these 195,000 Afghans that came here during the last administration are going to be painted with the brush of this man.
A DHS official tells CBS News the suspect's asylum case was approved under the Trump administration earlier this year.
When it comes to asylum, when they're flown in, it's very hard to get them out.
And Weijia Jiang joins us now. So the president just announced a new plan to reverse the majority of executive orders under former President Joe Biden. Did he say why?
That's right, Tom. President Trump says he is canceling all the executive orders signed by former President Biden that were used with an auto pen instead of his hand. Trump claimed without evidence that Biden was not involved when an auto pen was used, and he threatened that if Biden claims he was, he will face charges of perjury. Biden has repeatedly addressed attacks on his use of the auto pen, insisting that he made the decisions when it came to executive orders, pardons, and legislation. Tom?
Weijia Jiang, we know you'll stay on top of things. Weijia, thank you.
A question about this tragic shooting in Washington, D.C. U.S. officials say that the suspect worked very closely with the CIA in Afghanistan for years, that he was vetted, and the vetting came up clean.
He went cuckoo. I mean, he went nuts. And that happens, too. It happens too often with these people. You see them. But look, this is how they come in. This is how they're standing on top of each other. And that's an airplane. There was no vetting or anything. They came in unvetted. And we have a lot of others in this country. We're going to get them out. But they go cuckoo. Something happens to them.
Your DOJ IG just reported this year that there was thorough vetting by DHS and by the FBI of these Afghans who were brought into the U.S. So why do you blame the Biden administration?
Because they let them in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person. And there's a law passed that it's almost impossible not to get them out. You can't get them out once they come in. And they came in, and they were unvetted, they were unchecked, there were many of them, and they came in on big planes, and it was disgraceful. And if you look, you'll see there was a law passed. It makes it almost impossible not to let them in, not to certify them, so to speak, once they come in. And they came in, and they shouldn't have come in. And frankly, the whole thing was a mess. The whole Afghanistan situation was a mess. It should have never taken place. If we're going to go out, and we would have gone out because I had everybody ready to go, we were going to go out with strength and dignity and precision, and we would have left from Bagram, and we would have kept Bagram, by the way, because of its very close relationship to China and where they make their missiles. But when you let the people come in by the thousands and thousands and thousands, they made a terrible mistake. But they were incompetent, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. President, thank you for having us here tonight.